The Prentice Allsup Heating and Air Coaches Corner, fueled by Donut Country and McDonald's Murfreesboro on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and streaming at WGNSSports.com.
Coach's Show is brought to you by J. Mullins Jewelry, family-owned and operated business treating clients like family since 1938. Jewelry design, repair, and a wide selection of great jewelry pieces. MullinsJewelry.com online. Since I found out from Brian Guthrie that I was going to have the honor of talking to the assistant head coach, Doug Argo, this morning, I've been preparing. I've got all kinds of notes, Doug. It's
That's scary.
No, I'm kidding. It's blank pages here, but good to have you here this morning.
Thank you.
Just to kind of give a little behind the scenes, your father-in-law has worked with us doing high school games forever, and I met Rod when I was working at Waldron for John, helping as an EA. So I've known Rod for all these years, and
I know that was a great time for all you guys. Y'all had some great years there.
Yeah, I mean it was definitely a lot of fun. But we get to keep up with you, and we followed you from Siegel to now at Rockvale, and just great to have the opportunity to finally talk to you here on the air this morning.
Appreciate that.
Great football family. You grew up in it. I mean, I guess you're just kind of living the life, aren't you? You get to do what you love.
I do, and definitely coaching is that passion that I've always had, and I've have been in it for 28 years now. And when after COVID. After 25 years in, I was ready to just retire, but I wasn't ready to quit coaching.
Yeah.
And the situation opened up at Rockvale when Coach Guthrie got the head coaching job. It was just perfect timing. He gave me a call, and we were talking. And I was like, hey, if you, Mr. Luker, can make my 8 to 3, this, and this, I'll be there. And they made it happen.
Well, how about that?
And I've really enjoyed it. It's a great place to be. Rockvale is a wonderful community, and everybody knows that about them. And Mr. Luker and his administration, they love Rockvale, and it's really a great place. So I'm enjoying being there, and we're going to try to keep this thing going and get it better and where we want it to be.
Yeah, your son and my daughter graduated at Siegel the same year, and so that was right after that COVID time, and it's a lot of people looking at reflection and all, and then Brian also had a little something to do with having you over at Rockvale too. I'm sure there was a phone call or two.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, it was. And like I said, I'm glad it worked out because I really enjoyed it.
When you get around guys who you've spent so many hours with, I mean, it's not like you were going into a situation that you didn't really know what it was going to be, because you knew the guys that were there.
And that helped because, 2 or 3 of the guys had been at Siegel one way or another. And, of course, Crane was a player there. And then with Coach Eberly and Gut, coaching there before, me knowing them through that capacity. And a lot of people don't know, but Brian Guthrie and I went to high school together. His dad was our head football coach back at Gibson County High School back in the day. And so, yeah, we go back a long ways.
Yeah, I would have thought that Gut would have been a whole lot older than you. But anyway.
I'm actually 3. I was a senior his freshman year, so that lets you know that age difference.
So this year you kind of took on a little bit of an extended role, too, with the football program. And, I don't think people really appreciate what a head coach of a football team has to go through, and you've been around the game long enough to know.
Right, and I'm with the undertaking of the turf project was a phenomenal undertaking, and there again, that shows how great Rockville community is to go out and fundraise for $1.7 million to put in a turf field. And we haven't even started a true culture yet. We only been in school 4 years at that time. This is year 5, and so to see that much support from the community and knowing how much time and effort Coach Guthrie put into that, it was just an enormous undertaking for him. And when we talked going in at the end of the school year, he said when we take over this role to just help him with other things behind the scenes, and with not as much X and O's, but definitely not the X's and O's as much, but just everything else that goes along with a football program. So I've tried to do my best there and helps take some of that load off of him and the pressures there.
Well, you mentioned the program being so young, and I also don't think that people appreciate the fact that when you open up a new school, you're given the barest of bare bones in terms of facilities. I mean, and to make improvements like turf, like a practice field, like all the things that it takes to go into it. And cramming how many players in a little locker room. I mean, those are some of the challenges that young programs have to go through.
I mean, exactly. I mean, we're averaging 80 varsity football players, and in a 50 locker. Technically a PE locker room that we've made to try to be as conducive as we can for football. We've extended one of the a training room and an equipment room to have room for all that type of football equipment, to suit up the guys. And but again, Mr. Luker's done everything he can to accommodate it, and we try to make sure our funds are used and put to the best ability that we can for our players.
You've got to do those things to be competitive at the 6A level.
No doubt.
It's like throwing a program into the Sharks.
Exactly. And I mean, like in our practice field, we were literally playing on gravel. There was gravel mixed in with the grass that was there. We got new sod put down on it 2 summers ago, but when you lay sod on top of a kind of a dirt gravel base, it's just still going to, it's not going to root, and it hasn't had time to really root yet. So we're hoping to have another good year of weather, and with the that practice field can get more field in the middle, and have a good place for the kids to practice. Because I mean, we're like, we'll never go off the turf, but oh my goodness, it's either middle school football or a soccer match. So somebody's using that turf field, once or twice a week. So there are certain days, we can't get on that turf for practice, and so we still have to have that practice field to get on.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing that I don't think the general public really understands is those facilities are not just for 4 or 5 varsity football games.
Exactly.
I mean, there's something every night, except maybe a Wednesday or something.
Exactly.
During
it really has been
in the not only the fall but the spring as well. Doug Argo is joining us this morning, the Rockvale Assistant head coach, and talk about a tough game last night on the road at Blackman, and Blackman kind of came out and challenged your team in a way on the line that made your best player have to just work extremely hard last night for any yardage.
Right, and we had a great week of practice. We felt good going into this game with a game plan. And Thursday after practice, Bo Bryan, one of our starting offensive linemen and MTSU commit, basically got a bruised contusion. I think the actual term is perineal nerve contusion on his knee, therefore causing numbness and tingling in it. Went to the doctor Friday morning, and he was not able to play Friday night. So you practice, and Bo's not only an outstanding offensive line on the right side, he's also a great defensive lineman. And so we lost him on both sides of the ball last night, which definitely changed the game plan, especially offensively. We weren't just one-dimensional with Jalen Morgan as a Wildcat quarterback. We were almost one-sided to one side of the ball, to Stephen Nelson and that side of the offensive line.
And good teams, opponents, are going to see and they're going to challenge that, attack that. I mean, you do the same thing.
Exactly. And I mean, hey, Blackman, hats off to them. We knew they had a real good defense, great defensive front, and so we knew it was going to be a challenge regardless. But yeah, not having Bo in there on Friday night during game time definitely affected what the game plan was and was going to try to do. And I'm going to tell you, it was Jalen Morgan. We're so proud of him. I mean, he has truly tried to lead this team, and of course, not with just his ability, but with his vocals. Gave a great inspiring. I had an inspiring halftime speech I thought I was going to give, but I didn't have to because Jalen really gave it all he had with passion and commitment, and wanted to challenge the team to let's go out this set. We're down 21-0. Challenge this team. Let's go out. And I mean, hey, we had a great first possession defensively. From that, I mean, Blackman had the ball inside the 10. We held them out of the end zone. We blocked the field goal, and we're like, okay, here we go. And then offense just couldn't get it going because of Blackman's tough defense.
Yeah, and that also, we talked about it during the broadcast last night, when your offense can't put together a couple of first downs, that flips the field, and then when you're punting, I mean, you can't really give the opponent the ball inside the 50.
No, I mean, it was definitely a game of field possession.
It was.
Blackman literally got almost all their possessions were on the plus side inside the 50 going in. Our average, we had 9 series, and our average start was the negative 22-yard line, and then we're going 3 or 4 and out, and so all 9 series resulted in 9 punts. And hats off to Hunter Ciccolone, sophomore. We've gone through some punting scenarios, and he had the best week of really just one day. He's like, Coach, I think I can punt. We're like, well, let's give it a try. And, I mean, he had the pressure coming, and he was able to get his punts off except one time, and that was from one of our left side, just didn't pick up his inside gap, and the punt was blocked. But other than that, I was proud of him for stepping up and giving his best shot.
As tough as it has been at times this season, you've dealt with a lot of things, a lot of adversity. Here you still have a football team that has a chance to play for Week 11.
And we've been preaching that since the Coffee County win. Going into Blackman, we're like, guys, forget where we are with records. Blackman's 4-4. We're where we are with our 2 wins. Blackman's 1-2 in the region. We're 1-2 in the region. Blackman lost to Oakland in Riverdale. We've lost to Oakland and Riverdale. We got 2 games ahead of us. We win one of them, we're in the playoffs. We win both, we're 3rd in this region. And that's just to be 4, the top 4 in this region, one of the best region in the state of Tennessee, says a lot. And we've been really trying to preach that and get the guys to realize there's still something to keep fighting for. And we feel like the majority of them still are.
Yeah, well, you said it. Maybe one of the toughest, or if not the toughest 6A region, top to bottom, who you have to play every week, and then the opponents that you have to play because nobody wants to play teams in this
exactly.
region,
I mean, we started the year with Nolensville and Tullahoma for game 1. I mean, look at how good of a year they've had, and we were fine to do that. We love that competition. It lets you know where you are. And those 2 games, we lost one by 2 and one by 3. Lost the other one by 3 points. So, 5 points differential, it's a whole different season for us starting off with those 2 wins.
Well, it is at Siegel on Friday night, and I'm sure that brings a little bit of emotion into the whole thing as well, since you and Brian and others spent so much time at Siegel. But
with my years at Siegel, I was at Siegel Middle School for 7 years. So this group of juniors is my last group that I actually got to coach. And I think the world of those young men. We worked so hard to prepare them for, their high school career. And, I look forward to seeing them, how they developed each year, year after year. And it'll be fun for me to go back and watch them on film and see how they're developing. And but we're going to get after it. This is a rivalry. Now my 3rd year at Rockvale High, we're 1-1 versus Siegel, and both of them very good games. So I'm looking forward to how this one's going to turn out for us.
Well, it couldn't be any bigger for that Week 11. You win, you're in, right?
Exactly. And looking at on the other end, you've got Mount Juliet or Green Hill. Looks like going to be the 1 and 2 out of their region, right?
Yeah, that's the way that it's looking now. So I guess there's not a whole lot. You've spent 10 weeks preaching and saying this and that and whatnot, and these guys probably know what it's going to be next Friday night.
They know what's at stake. We've been preparing since back in January for this season, and all the adversity that we've gone through. It definitely develops character, and you definitely find yourself and who you are. And each day we're trying to teach these young men how to fight through adversity. It's definitely going to make them better men in life and hopefully successful citizens for us in the future. And but right now we're going to start getting ready as of this afternoon, getting ready for Siegel, and we'll put it all together on Monday and hopefully have a good week of practice. Those guys that have been injured, hopefully this week we can start getting them back in, and that'll help our depth out going into Friday versus Siegel.
Well, it's always good to have. I think we keep Rod around just so he's got Andrea's phone number so we can get text of scores and stuff. But sometimes he gets lost in his phone,
No, not Mr. Rod. Not Mr. Rod.
But I do want to make sure we mention Andrea, too, how much we appreciate everybody. And, Doug, good luck. We're going to be there to broadcast the game on Friday night and look forward to it. And the best of luck to you.
Appreciate that. Let me throw out one notable to Melvin Boone. The man has one motor, and it's nonstop. Offense, defense. He's a phenomenal football player. I get upset. I'm like, man, I think he's a senior because he's so mature, but he's just a junior, and we've got him back next year. So
well, that's fun, too,
But
right?
Melvin's a great young man. He and Jalen have really worked hard to get this team going in the right direction.
Well, we'll see what happens next Friday night with the Rockvale Rockets here on WGNS, and hope you'll join us for that. And that's going to do it for our Coaches Show segment here with Rockvale on the Coaches Show, brought to you by State Farm agents Andy Womack, Dana Womack, Celeste Middleton, Ron Reeves, and Emerson Williams. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. We're talking with Anne Marie Brents at Rick's Barbecue, carrying on the Lanning family tradition.
I'm passionate about it, and I have a lot of my dad